scientists say the good in you, fusing heart to heart, reach only the good in you. All that you do to want only the best for you. Give it all to start. Takes all that we are. Just another star. I see the good in you. No fear can pull us apart. I see the good in you. A beacon through the dark.
Good afternoon to some, good morning to others. Welcome to I Am the Western Woman radio and TV show. Yay! Yay, we're here. We always have a little bit of a different environment going on around us, you know, just feeling out what works best and our lighting. And now here we are in Elaine's yoga room, which is absolutely perfect. Buddha over our shoulder.
Bonjour, Buddha.
Bonjour. How does it get any better than that? Here with Elaine and myself, Jocelyn. Thanks so much for joining us today. Those of you who are watching live, we were almost on time today. Yay! It's so exciting. So exciting. We're still getting a few bugs out, but I've got some really exciting news, although also it's teensy-weensy sad news. I am actually going to be live in studio next week and the following week at rmconair.com. Although, unfortunately, Elaine will not be there, but she can call in and join us on Skype. But we're going to have live shows for the next 2 weeks in Los Angeles, and I'm super excited about that. I've got some amazing guests lined up for our shows, and I'm going to be in California.
Oh, how does it get any better than that?
Yeah, it's calling me home. I posted something on Facebook the other day about how California is my lover. I'm looking forward to falling into my lover's embrace when I get there next week.
Sounds nice.
Yes. So we have an in-studio guest joining us, but he's a little bit behind schedule, as often happens in LA with traffic and such. So we just thought we'd get going, and we're going to just, we had a really cool conversation just before things got on the air, and I thought that we would just bring that into play here a little bit, and then when Scott, our guest, gets here, we'll dive right into what he's doing. Those of you who are watching because you saw the posting that I put on Facebook, he's doing something amazing, just bringing farm to table food, 100% organic food to people everywhere, but in a really cool way, in a really cool community building kind of way. So I'm super, super excited to bring all of that to all of you. But until such time as Scott's in the studio, Elaine and I were just talking about, among many other things, Elaine had an experience yesterday with the Canadian healthcare system, which I know for anyone who's listening in the States, you guys, in my conversations with people, I think you have a little bit of a viewpoint, sometimes in a good way, that our healthcare system is and sometimes, you know, that maybe it's not so great because if you're paying for it and you don't know if you ever need to use it, you know, it's kind of redundant. And you know, I agree with that to a point. It's very interesting because I just taped a segment for my new HTV and Page television show with an integrative medical doctor here in London, Dr. Banner. And he brings holistic and naturopathic, all sorts of things into his practice. And he is an MD and actually an anesthesiologist who used to teach at Western and University of Western Ontario here in London. And we were talking about, because I went back to school several years ago, and I wrote a speech about how I don't use our healthcare system. You know me, I'm super freaking healthy, and I just don't use it. So what I would love to be able to do is I would love to be able to use the credit, perhaps, that I have towards massage and acupuncture.
And maybe gym membership.
Well, you know,
something
like
that can make
maybe
you
like
healthy.
some sort of tokens to go towards buying organic food.
Right.
You know, which again, you know, our guest coming up
Interesting.
soon can speak to, but because it's nice to have it there if I were to ever get in a car accident or fall out of a tree that I happen to be climbing or anything like that, because I do that sometimes. It's good to know that I can go and have a bone set, or if I needed surgery or something, it's available to me. But having said that, there can sometimes be long waits.
Right.
And a lot of people, particularly in the city that we live in, don't have a physician, a family physician, because there's not enough.
Right, and we have to give some credit to London, because London does have some of the best hospitals in the world.
It's true.
And some of the best doctors in the world. So, you know, I mean, I don't know if there's any healthcare system that's perfect, but I know that for a lot of our locals, they don't have a doctor, or our hospital waits in Emerge can be 8, 10, 12 plus hours for emergency care, which is really not acceptable, really, when we're paying the taxes that we're paying.
The thing is, and I do know this because my sister's an emergency room nurse, and I have an understanding about this too, because I know when I cut my hand and partially severed a nerve, and they took me in right away, and it was on a Thursday, and I was in surgery for it by Monday. They say life and limb. So if it's something to do with one of your limbs, your arms or your legs, or you're in danger of keeling over, then they take you quickly. But the thing is that a lot of people go in there because they don't have a family doctor. They go to emergency and they got a little cough, or, you know, and I mean, yes, you have to go somewhere, right? But those people are the ones usually that either have to wait or tie up the system because they don't have a family physician. And so
I've seen both sides of that,
true.
though. I've seen
and there's
people
regulars
that are, yes, there are.
You know,
I get a lot of drug addicts.
Yeah,
too,
my
right?
sister has
Especially
told me
after
that, you know,
hours.
there's people that they come on, you know, you see them once a month or once every 2 weeks, or that, you know, it's a really regular kind of thing. And some of it has to do with mental illness, and some of it has to do with, you know, whether you want to call it hypochondria or just needing attention, or just, again, you know, unhealthy living. And, you know, tie this into really what I Am the Western Woman is all about. In order to step up and show up in the world fully and completely, you got to show up healthy. You got to have the strength and the endurance and the clear mind and, you know, a body that can move you in the world the way that you're here to move. And so the healthcare system that we rely on is super important.
I get that, but there's a lot of people that aren't healthy because they don't have the proper education. So we shouldn't deny those people. For, you know, for something that they're not aware of, or poor genetics or environment or circumstance.
No, I'm just saying, I'm tying it into what the I Am the Western Woman theme is about. You know, when you are in a position where your health is good, where you are in a place of knowing of who you are, when you have access to the things that help to support you, it allows you to be more of what you're here to be.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And so you had a really, really excellent experience yesterday with our healthcare system.
And typically, you know, I've had a lot of issues in the past. Now I'm going to apologize to Scott, our sound producer, Mark, over in LA, because we're going on total women topics here. Sorry, Mark. But I'm going to talk about the vajayjay. We're going to talk about broken vagina. So I am going through menopause. I had a hysterectomy years ago, and I've had so many issues in that category. And I think, you know, whatever the reason, I've had multiple surgeries. And so now I'm going, you know, I'm full blown menopause. And I met this wonderful doctor yesterday who is really, really cares about
supportive.
Yes, about women's issues. And he's really turning to now I know, Jocelyn, she produced, or you're a host, a New Age Domain page, taking old remedies and making them new again. And part of the our conversation yesterday was taking, progesterone, not just taking your actual estrogen pills, because a lot of women can't tolerate that for whatever reason, but taking them in creams, but also how to strengthen the vaginal wall and to help any incontinence in the future. With a lot of women that have had multiple pregnancies or stress during pregnancies or during birth, have incontinence issues. So a lot of times we like to do those Kegels to kind of strengthen the muscles. And first of all, ladies, let me tell you that you can actually go to your physiotherapist for vaginal wall, vaginal floor exercises. That's
you
one
can
of the
go
things.
to your yoga teacher.
Yes.
And your yoga teacher will teach you Mula Bandh or root
Right.
lock. And when you learn Mula Bandh or root lock and you do breath practices with
Right.
that, because let me tell you, girls, I've had 2 babies and I'm 45 and I'm not going through menopause.
And you
I
can
have
see their heads.
and the big heads on those babies. and I have no issues with that.
Mhm.
And not to get really down and dirty, but let's just say I've broken devices
But here's the other thing
with my
too.
pelvic floor muscles. And I completely
Well, how'd you get the device out if you broke it?
the boy can walk but I completely attribute that to
Right.
to yoga.
Right.
And-
you should go on stage. I think that, you could do well. Especially, French Canadian thing we can happen here. But there's also another thing too, is that our Kegels, a lot of women are doing them just a little bit incorrectly. A lot of them do the Kegels where they just kind of, people will say, stop the flow of the urine. So you just kind of squeeze, your muscles together. But it's not just that. You need to squeeze it and bring it up. So when you're squeezing, bring the sensation up. So it's almost coming towards your navel center. So that's one thing, because they're finding a lot of physiotherapists are saying, we're doing it wrong. We need to bring that muscle up.
Well, again, Mula Bandh is
Right.
drawing the navel, the pelvic floor muscles, and your rectum.
Yes. Up.
So everything, you're drawing it all up.
Yeah.
It's called the big draw in Chinese philosophy. The big draw, literally, you pull everything up.
Almost like a vacuum.
Yep.
Yeah. But so some of the things that they're recommending now, I'm sorry, I don't have the name. I can get them for you. They're recommending these weights for women. I know that we've talked about, you have the eggs, the jade eggs, and a lot of women, you'll see that also in.
Had I known, I would have brought mine had I known we were going to be discussing this today.
But, we're discussing this today because our guest is just a little bit late coming in. He's, the traffic in LA.
He's en route.
Yeah, so this is just
17
a surprise
minutes,
thing.
he's just telling me. 17 minutes away.
But we can talk about this forever. But anyways, so now they're coming up with these weights that women can use, not just the eggs. So these weights, perhaps women feel a little bit more comfortable with because they have a little string attached, let's say, a tag attached. So when you're inserting these weights, you can release them properly. And then what women can do is they can start out with these light weights, and you get I think maybe there's 8 weights in them. So you basically put them on in the morning, walking around the house, do your chores, what you got to do, take it out before you leave. And then you can increase your weight as you you
strengthen your pelvic floor.
Now,
and let me just say what that does and I'll speak to it from a
orgasmic session,
energetic perspective. I mean, not only does it assist if you have bladder issues, which I know a lot of women, again, after they have children, what it also assists with is if you have, and I have some clients that I work with that deal with this, where they've had some trauma in the pelvic region, whether it's been sexual molestation or abuse, or they've had a lot of surgeries or whatever it is, some sort of, endometriosis, whatever it is, that they've had some trauma there. And then everything shuts down and the blood flow does not go there any longer.
Doesn't oxygenate
And what
properly.
happens is that those women tend to shut down. And among many other things, what happens is they don't enjoy sex anymore, which affects their relationships, which affects their self-confidence, their ability to be open and out in the world and in their fullness. And not only that, orgasmically, you want to do some reading, I'm happy to recommend some books. But the female orgasm, we talked about this in another show when we talked about orgasmic meditation. The female orgasm is one of the greatest sources of oxytocin, which is the bonding or the love hormone. And don't we all need a little more love or a lot more love in the world, right? So when women are not enjoying sex, and they are not experiencing orgasm, and not feeling connected to their partner or themselves, if they're using a device, battery operated boyfriend, if they are not feeling in tune with who they are from a sexual perspective, it affects you in all ways. In all ways.
In your posture, in your stance, in your walk, you almost know it, don't you?
The way you move in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another thing that he was recommending yesterday, which is interesting because I've seen the different creams and things like that. You put on your thin skin, whether it be your wrist, inside your thighs, or even your inside of your elbows here. Another thing that they were with this cream is really good for is so you have 3 creams. You have estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So your estrogen you can also insert vaginally, and then after your testosterone you can apply on your clitoris, and that will increase the sensation exponentially. It's going to be,
there you go, ladies.
You might not need that pocket rocket after all. I recommend it. And I don't know whether the creams that you're talking about that they recommend are natural based, but I do know wild yam is the natural base for many of those creams. And I've seen them at places even like Whole Foods in the States, and at homeopathic stores. Right. Yeah. Right. No, I think it's women. I think people really need to get in touch with this. There's also a wonderful seminar I went to about a month ago, and it was called Sex, Lies, and Menopause. And it started out with a comedic actress, and basically she was saying that once you reach into menopause, we call it mental pause, because you remember nothing. Like she says, you forget all your nouns, she says, but your adjectives and your adverbs, they increase. So it's like, you're at the table and you want something passed. You're like, hey, can you pass me that white thing there with the holes on the top and it's glass, because you can't remember salt. You can't remember the name. There's no noun.
But you can remember the passing and the using and the eating and the.
So there's that. And then they were saying about the importance of estrogen in your body. If you cannot produce this naturally anymore, because a lot of women have had hysterectomies or have gone through the menopause and are not able to produce that naturally anymore. The importance of estrogen, mental clarity, you need estrogen for your bones, for bone density, your libido, of course, your vaginal dryness, mental fog, your sleeping, so many different things. So when I left the seminar, because before I was like, no, I'm not going to take any estrogen. My doctor recommended, no, Elaine, you shouldn't take any estrogen. So for the last 3 years, I never took any. But I started yesterday, so I'm going to keep you updated. Now, this doctor said that within 6 months, I should see a 90% increase, and within a year, I'll be completely back to normal.
Wow. Whatever normal
Well, let me tell you, I'm from Niagara Falls, and they say that I used to be from Niagara Falls down there. Okay, now it's more like I'm from Nevada. You know what I'm saying?
A little desert-like conditions.
Yes, but you know what? Sometimes it surprises even me that Niagara kind of returns every once in a while. But I would like for women to really talk to a doctor, and if you're not comfortable, find someone, because I'm also an advocate that if you learn something that's going to help you, please share it with other women or men.
Well, that's why we do this,
too, right?
That's why I'm doing the New Age to Main Page show, And if I might just add, and you of course know that this is my whole spiel, the best way to be in that place is to not ever get away from it, right? And so I feel blessed that when I was younger, for whatever reason, knowledge came to me, books came to me, things came to me, people came to me, teachers came to me, and I've been able to live my life in a way where I don't have to go to prevention or healing, generally speaking.
Right.
Usually I'm pretty much, in this place of homeostasis. Mm-hmm. You know me, I don't get sick. Mm-hmm. It's very rare that I'm off. Right. Everything's in balance. And people say you must work really hard for that. It's not that I work really, really hard for it. Is that I make it my life. Mm-hmm. You know that. Mm-hmm. I mean, my niece is living with me right now, and she said to me at one point, Aunt Joss, I knew that you lived your life in a different way, but I didn't realize you lived your life in a different way. After having lived with me now for the last 5 months, she has an understanding of just a different way of being than what she grew up in. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's right for everyone.
Well, and you know what? You have a lifestyle now as well. I know you live in a very healthy lifestyle, but you have a lifestyle now that affords you the extra time to do things that got you onto this path. A lot of women, but I would say to you, I know that you're a huge advocate when it comes to breathing. And I think that, and meditation. Yes. And I would encourage for a lot of women, men and women, everyone, yes, everyone, absolutely. Because if a woman is feeling out of balance, it's going to reflect on everyone in her life. Absolutely. They say if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy, right? Yeah. And I think it's super, super important that we find a way to balance ourselves. And my whole thing is put yourself first. Mm-hmm. Just do it. Mm-hmm. Just do it. Don't care what anybody thinks. You're not selfish. You're not being selfish. It's self-love. If you take care of you first, because then you have what it takes to be there for the other people in your life. Mm-hmm. And, I think that's the biggest thing that I learned was being able to do that and being able to step away from the finger pointing or any shame or guilt that was thrust upon me. That might take time for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That might take time, but it'll come once you let go of any fear of judgment. Yeah. And find the benefits. Absolutely. To it, right? Yeah. Well, and you know what? And I will tell you one of the benefits of it that is very interesting. As I said, I have 2 kids, and you've met my kids. They're super happy, wild and wacky and wonderful kids, 2 teenage boys. And I think it was the last time I went away, I came back and I jokingly said, did you miss me? And they were like, no, we don't miss you when you're away anymore, And I was like, thank God, good, mm-hmm. Because they're living their lives. Mm-hmm. They know I'm coming back. They don't have to miss me. No hole they don't have to be needy. Yeah. They don't have to, mm-hmm. It doesn't mean I don't love them or they don't love me. But because of the way that I've been able to, so grateful to the way I've been able to shift things in my life, it's also created a shift in their life. And once you let go of the need, there's a lot of women and perhaps men, I don't know, but I know a lot of women would feel guilty. What do you mean? What do you mean you didn't miss me? You don't miss me. I'm not needed? Yeah, you're still needed and loved and wanted. Let me tell you, the minute I get home, they're calling me to pick them up and make them dinner. And I'm happy to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to do that. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that they are not incomplete in themselves without me there. Right. They know I'm always there for them. Right. They know that it doesn't matter where I am, that the love is always there. So, and I feel like when, again, to bring it back full circle, when we're healthy and we're well and we take care of ourselves and we delve into, that was really great interviewing the integrative doctor because, he brings in, if you need a shot of estrogen, he'll give you a shot of estrogen, or he'll prescribe breathing exercises with me. Now, I'm curious, is he covered through OHIP, or do you have to supplement his? So OHIP is Ontario Health Insurance. It would be, in some sense, equivalent to what Obamacare is becoming, although I haven't delved that deeply into it, but it's kind of a socialized healthcare, and the way that we pay for it through our taxes, but the way that the funding works for our healthcare system here in
Ontario in particular.
And another thing, too, I want to bring up, too, is the healthcare. I do not want to fault our doctors and nurses.
No.
I would like to fault the government for shortchanging, the beds and the nurses needed and things like that. So I know that there's a lot of, there's only so many heads that can go
I would
around.
take it even further, and this ties back into our guest today. I would take it back to the way what's available to us in our grocery stores, and, the way we're being educated, the way that our food pyramid looks.
Taste the food guide.
The Canada Food Guide. Like, come on, people. Seriously, I taught a nutrition course to some osteopathy students, and I brought in essentially an organic food pyramid based on an entirely different way of eating. And I mean, the Canada Food Guide says that the most you should eat are complex carbohydrates, like breads, and without even taking into consideration gluten issues and white flour and white rice.
To train your kids when they're coming home from school going, "Ma, I read here, yes, I can have white pasta. It's fine." So I have a 13-year-old. My 20-year-old eats really, really healthy. My 13-year-old, it's not bad, but I would like to educate her a little bit more. But I think there's so many more gluten issues out there that people. We've only touched the surface.
Talk to Scott about this, because I know he'll have some insight here, which is why these events that he puts on are gluten-free. And there's a reason for that. It's because the wheat that we eat is not the wheat that they eat in Italy, in the old country. Yeah. It's not the same wheat, when you go there and
it doesn't give you as much gas over in Italy as it does here.
Well, and there's a reason for it. It's because it's not totally, it's completely modified here. And so, that's, again, we're jumping around a little, but it all ties into the same thing. The reason that our healthcare system is overtaxed is because there's so many people who are eating in a way that they've been taught to eat, or that they've been shown to eat, or what they can afford to eat. And then it's making them sick. It's making them sick. Yeah, I have a thing on my computer here, and because we have no issue with swearing on the show, I will actually read it.
I don't have an issue.
Well, yeah, I try to have a little bit more. But Jamie Oliver, those of you who know him, he's that chef with the show. Homicide is 0.8% of deaths. Diet-related disease is over 60%.
Wow.
But no one fucking talks about it.
Wow.
And, how does this relate to, to vaginal health that we talked about, or, turned on women and that whole piece? It has everything to do with it, because without, we have to eat, we have to breathe and we have to eat.
Well, I remember taking a macrobiotic workshop years ago, and she was saying that, what if you went to the health food store and, on that candy bar, it said, instead of the ingredients, it would be like will cause drowsiness, mental fog.
Right. Yeah. How about warnings on that kind of crap?
Food can cure. So the lady that gave the macrobiotic workshop, she had ovarian cancer, and she went down to Cushey Institute in Massachusetts. And Cushey Institute, from what I understand, from what she was talking about, cures with food.
Yes.
So, and I was talking to a pharmaceutical rep, a very, very successful pharmaceutical rep here in my village. And he said, Lane, that's what the pharmaceuticals are going to. They're actually now putting food in their pills. Right? We're getting there. And this was years ago. So,
but how about if we just eat it? How about if we just eat it? How about if it just, we go to the farmer's market, or we go to even if we go to the grocery aisle, in the big box stores, like even if we do that, right? Because there is an affordability factor with this, absolutely.
A lot of education.
Yeah. I know that a mutual friend of ours, Donna, does the farm share, and where she'll pay X amount at the beginning of the year, and she gets the farm share. Now, I would do it, except for I'm away a lot, so it would just go bad in my fridge. But I would love to do it. And then I know a number of people. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger around here. And you know, and so then what happens is it also teaches you to eat what you've got, right? That it's not, you're not making 800, you know, trips to the grocery store,
Scott's here.
to try and find something. So excellent. All right. Well, wait, that was a good segue.
Yeah,
We're talking
that's
about
right.
the farm shares, and now we have Scott in the studio. Is he all set to go?
I think so.
Awesome.
Awesome.
There he is. Yay! Scott is here. Thanks so much for getting to the studio as quickly as you could.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's LA craziness over here.
Oh, yeah. LA. I know. It's you got to plan way ahead. I remember the first time that I was in LA doing some work, and I had a list of places that I was going to go that I started in the morning, and I got onto the 405 and I started crossing things off my list. And I think I went from 12 stops to 4, you know, so I totally get it. But thank you so much for joining us, and we're gonna dive right into. I've kind of touched a little bit on what you're here to talk about, Scott, but I'm just gonna get you to dive right into it. Tell us all about locavore.
All right. Well, I made up that word because locavore was taken. And if you're not familiar with what locavore means, it's just like herbivore or carnivore.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, to eat locally, you know. And so loca actually in Spanish means crazy, and voir means to look at.
Difficulties. So, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, you guys couldn't hear me? Okay.
Yeah, now we got you.
Well, you know, that's Great Spirit's way of saying the name's not important. No, basically, locavore means to eat local. You know, to support our local farmers, and so locavore actually was taken. So I just added an I to it, and I happened to be in Asheville, North Carolina, when I came up with this, and they're very much like, you know, the French Broad River. They have a lot of French culinary in their scene over there. So locavore is basically locavore, but with a kind of an angle to it, meaning voir, as we know in French, means to look at or to watch or to see. And loca means crazy in Spanish, so we're crazy looking.
Crazy.
So that's locavore, you know, and basically it started on Kauai last year. I did a farm to table dinner. I share some land with some friends on Kauai, and we did a little Mother's Day farm to table dinner, and it was pouring rain like buckets, but it was a success, and we sourced from this farm right at Common Ground in Kilauea, and so that kind of sparked my interest. And then moving to Asheville, and I also bought in a little bit of land outside of Asheville. And I was doing this because it was 2012, and it was the thing to do, is to find some land off the grid, I thought. And so, which is good. It's nice to have that, and I kind of like to have that balance between the city and the farm life, you know. And did a few events in Asheville that sold out, and basically we just bring a concert. Like we had Yusufa Sidibe, who tours with String Cheese and Matisyahu and Midnight and all that, and the Human Revolution, and all these great bands would come through. Willie Nelson's sons, Mickey Hart's son. I got a lot of sons of rock star friends. Ziggy Marley's son. We got Pat Simmons' son from the Doobie Brothers coming in September. And so it's all this up and coming artist. Actually, Pat Simmons is a certified raw food chef and a permaculture instructor, and he's 23, and he's mind blowing. He's going to kill it. His dad's a legend, and he's going to be beyond. So that's sort of our formula, is to connect people with their food source, and keep it. It's 100% organic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. We've been doing no alcohol and tobacco, just kind of holding space as a healing place, and kids can feel safe and run around. I'm open to that changing. I personally don't drink very much anymore. I'll have an occasional organic beer or whatever at a show, but it's not high on my list. The food is, though. We also have 20 to 30 massage therapists on board for each event. So when you come, I mean, this is a farm to table dinner, like beyond. And you get there, we have yoga, We have foraging hikes. We have 20 or 30 therapists on board doing everything from rolfing to acupressure to shiatsu, Thai massage, all that good stuff. And then we do the dinner. It's a 6-course sit-down, fine dining experience, all raw, vegan, organic, with kombucha pours for each course, pairings, and with the raw chocolate dessert and all that good stuff. And then we have a concert. Call it a night. Raise money
and I can attest to this because I was at one in Asheville.
That's right.
There,
oh my gosh.
Earlier this year. Yeah. Yeah. And surprised Scott. I showed up there. I hadn't seen him in quite some time. And it was absolutely fantastic.
I'm so stoked. You saw the one at the Freemasons building? You were at the one at the Freemasons building or the Homewood Castle? Yeah, that venue is
at the Freemasons building.
It's crazy. Yeah, those Masons know how to build a theater, that's for sure. I don't know what they're up to behind the scenes, but the main guy there at the Mason building is so funny. He's a Mason, and he's like, if people think that the Masons run the world, they haven't been to one of our meetings yet. Meaning they're not that profound, Very unorganized. No, they're just like a community center, like a church. They're, as far as I know. Who knows what their history is, but yeah. So Jocelyn, when we met years ago for the Qigong people.
Yes, we did, and in fact, that's what's bringing me back to California. So I'll be in California during your next event, which is coming up August 21st in Topanga, right?
Yes, August 21st, and we're moving it because we outgrew. We were at this insane venue, the 1909, and it's really set up for weddings. It's gorgeous, and we got the super bro rate because we did a weeknight. Otherwise, there's no way we could afford it, and we just got too big for that space. So we're moving it to the Topanga Community Club, which is going to be actually way better for the kids because there's a playground there, and it's just kind of set up a little more rootsy. But we're going to make it really nice. We're bringing in all our production and everything. So
Scott, tell us a little bit about your background because I know, I've read a little bit and you and I've talked just, here and there and lots of mutual friends and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about your background because you were really brought up in a forward-thinking family.
Yes. My gurus are my parents. So they named...
Not a lot of people would say that.
Yeah, they named me Scott. My gurus named me Scott, not Crystal or Sky or River or Beyond Ananda. I'm just Scott. And my parents, they were hippies, but not really. They kind of had a 1 foot in, 1 foot out, good balance. They had their jobs. They're both entrepreneurs. My mom is a corporate psychologist, and she's basically does team building and facilitation and for a lot of corporations. When the board of directors are fighting, she's like a business surgeon. She'll come in there and assess the problem and get them back on track. And but going to India when I was 7 and hanging out with Osho and Muktananda and having them teach me Reiki at a young age and traveling quite a bit. And then by the time I got out of high school, I'd already done all the landmark est training with Warner Earhart when I was 8 years old in Palo Alto. That turned into LifeSpring and all those things. Outward Bound, Super Camp, Tony Robbins, you name it. By the time I got out of high school, it was like I was like 90. In wisdom, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I thank God my parents, it was their MO to continuously strengthen their marriage, their communication, and self-improvement. And so it was really great to grow up in Northern California in the Bay Area when that was really going off in the Palo Alto and Los Altos in the 70s. It was kind of the thing to do, So there's learning, body work and Reiki and all that. And my sister's a yoga instructor in Santa Cruz, and she's the one that got me to eat organic years ago. And I got a cousin who basically before Alice Waters, he pretty much coined the whole farm-to-table organic dining experience. His name is Bradley Ogden, and he's got a James Beard Award and has won best restaurant in the country. And it's interesting because him and I are actually recently talking about opening a restaurant, which would be a reflection of these farm-to-table dinners, kind of like a cafe gratitude meets exhale yoga, but with concerts.
Can I ask a question here,
Yeah.
Scott? Have you ever thought about maybe franchising something like this? Like we were talking about educating people, and I think it would be wonderful to have an organization that you could, promote this template to people over here and around, probably around the world, really.
Where are you?
We're in Canada.
Oh, well, how do you like that? That's my British Canadian accent. Franchising, yeah. What makes this so special is no planning, and I don't know where it's going. It's bigger than me, and as long as I just show up on time, kind of like not like today, but just showing up and staying clear on the vision, it's all unfolding. So I mean, yes, it'd be great to franchise out, but it's a very sensitive type of thing. Everyone's got their own roles and egos and different outlooks on what they want to see happen. And so I sort of sit back and see, first and foremost, I want to create a safe place for people to come. And that might look differently for other people and what that looks like for them. So I'm open to that, but I think I would need to be 10 places at once to really feel confident to have, my support behind it. So I just kind of start with one project at a time and kind of follow that through. If people want to, follow, I'm just kind of riding on the shoulders of other giants at this point. It's people before me that set. We just keep evolving, and that's the fun thing about this world is we can always improve our diet, we can always improve, our events, and we can always improve, the whole experience. So. I don't have kids. I'm 43. I don't think I'm open to having kids, but I'm like 5 years old still myself. But I feel a deep connection with children, and I see that there's a lot of divorces going on and dysfunction in the family. And so I feel like it's almost like I'm building a church in a way where I want people to come once a month, or it could be potentially once a week, where they can come and get healthy and learn and feel loved and feel, safe. And so who knows where that's going to lead to.
I think what you're doing, Scott, is you're taking a concept that used to be, it's like, again, my show, New Age to Main Page. It's about bringing all the things that people used to do. Go out and pick what you're going to eat and invite friends and family over and prepare it and serve it right from the field onto your table. And the kids are playing over there, and maybe someone brings a guitar and somebody, sings and you play games on the lawn and like you're bringing back that sense of community. And, we all have to eat, so why not eat well with people who make us feel good, and in a circumstance that doesn't that doesn't create some sort of barriers between people.
Interesting word you use.
People in together, yoga, everything too, and the massage, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a part of it, and that's like sort of mandatory. Like we tell people, that's a big seller. You get there on time, and you get some body work, and you feel great after that. It kind of breaks the ice, and the barriers. Yes, it's funny. I got this message years ago when I was dancing in San Francisco. It was on Memorial Day, 2001. I'll never forget it, it was some house music, and I love house music because I like the jams that go on for 10 minutes because I'm a Grateful Dead freak, and just close your eyes, not a lot of words and just funky beats, not techie, but just good organic house. And I was dancing away, and all of a sudden this experience happened, like I became Buddha and Jesus, I think we've all experienced that before in one way or another. And so long story short, I got my message from God or from Spirit or Source, Space Brothers, whatever you want to call them. That my MO here on Earth this time around was to break down barriers through music. And I didn't know how that was going to manifest or unfold, but it did lead me going to Israel to do some peace work over there. And I end up going down in history to be the first promoter in Israeli history to bring Arabs into the mainstream nightclub scene. And no one really knows that, actually. And I have it in my bio, and I keep taking it out and putting it back in because it doesn't seem like anyone cares. But it's by far the biggest accomplishment I've ever done in my entire life, And it was, we brought over Jesse Saunders from Chicago, and we had this amazing house music party in Tel Aviv. And we had to close down the city block. The chief of police contacted us. There was a bomb scare the night before. I did not know what I was getting myself into, and to be honest, I would never do it again. But the point is that breaking down barriers, the music was the vehicle for that, and the Palestinians and the Arabs and the Jews and the Christians were okay with letting their issues subside for a minute to come together, through the music. And so I look at these events as a form of breaking down barriers. I want people to feel safe. We have starting to get special guests to show up at our events, and like Moby was at our last event, and for me, I'm a huge fan of Moby, and I didn't even know that was him the whole time. I was at his table, and I just afterwards someone said, "That was awesome that Moby was at your party." I'm like, "Who?" And so I want people to feel safe to come and just be relaxed, and who cares who you are. We're there to share meal and music and healing, and really like a lot. I've been meeting here in LA now. I've been living here for about a month. I've been meeting some people who are doing this and doing that. And who knows? I mean, who cares? They're maybe famous or a little bit. It doesn't matter. Because they look at me, they're like, "Whoa, dude, you're healthy. Like, I would trade this in for what like that's worth more than your health is your wealth." And so I think that's really where it's going, and people can see it in your eyes. They know if you're for real or not.
Yeah.
And there's no hiding it. You can say you're doing this and doing that, but the proof is in the pudding.
I agree completely. And this that's a perfect segue into what the show is about. And I still doing a little bit on this is inspired by that statement made by the Dalai Lama, the world will be saved by the Western woman. And to me, it's how we show up in the world and how we show up authentically as ourselves. And so much of that has to do with the way that we live and how we nourish ourselves so that we can be healthy and wealthy. Mm-hmm. And I always ask every time we have a guest on, I always ask what their take on that statement is and what they feel that perhaps the Dalai Lama meant by that statement, that the world would be saved by the Western woman.
Yeah, well, I agree. And I think that Western woman needs to be activated by a man who's got their shit together. Pardon my Canadian French. No, I shouldn't say that. But but it's really that's been my yeah. That's my mom. My sister. I got a really great relationship with. They taught me how to put the toilet seat down when I was a very young kid, and they said if I could learn how to do that, I was going to be just fine in life. And it was more of a metaphor than anything. And so I have nothing but respect. And women, have a lot of trouble in this world with the media, and most of their dads are kind of gross and icky at times, and it's just the way it is. We need to snap out of that. But it's not up just for the woman; it's up for the man to get their stuff together too. And I believe in that kind of like the Alex Gray painting where the woman and the man are together. And it's like this divine unity. And I personally have not seen a living example of that yet. I mean, I'm just being...
Can I just tell you what? No joke. I'm just showing Elaine right now. That is my wallpaper. That picture is my wallpaper on my computer right now.
Yeah.
I just showed her.
He's great. I just saw him speak at Lightning in a Bottle, and it blew my mind. And of course, he talks really heavily about the hallucinogenics. And, I have to agree, like, I wouldn't recommend hallucinogenics or drugs or anything like that of the sort to anybody, but they worked miracles for me, and I can own up to that. But I don't partake anymore with that. But it was the biggest thing I could have ever done for my mind and my body and my heart was to get out of my own way for a few minutes and experience that on a different level. And you connect with the divine source and you see yourself in a different light. And it can be scary and it can be different things, but back to that divine woman. Yes, and I'm kind of over the whole goddess this and goddess that, and like it's like, okay, if the goddesses could take that and just and just have some forgiveness around that, and then bring it back to the divine man and the divine woman, and not pick sides anymore, and so I believe the women were here. I have really strange ideas about evolution. And just for my own, it doesn't make any sense the way that they taught us. Personally, I think we were beamed. I think we were genetically modified, probably by someone from Monsanto, to be honest. And I know it's crazy thoughts, but I'm pretty sure the women were here first, and then the men came later. And so
well, it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so of course, boys and girls are scared of each other. That's our initial thing when we're growing up. Like, no one teaches us that. It's just like, you remember your first kiss? It's like terrified. Like, why am I scared? It should not be that way. But it's the ultimate challenge is to hook up with your counterpart. And we might have a million soulmates out there because we're all a reflection of each other. But if we really know who we are, like really know who we are, and sometimes taking some serious acid might help you get that in perspective. Some people don't need that. Find out who you are, then you'll start attracting somebody at the level that really God wants us to be at. You know, and then, you know, having that communication is key, and being honest. Like, whoever's out there is listening, how many of you can go throughout the entire day and speaking the truth? Like, I mean, just no white lies. Like, absolutely the truth. And I doubt. I mean, I personally can honestly say that I can't, because I catch myself all the time for little tiny stupid stuff. But we got a long ways to go, and I think we're programmed through our language.
I think what you're doing, Scott, by bringing in the concept of regrouping in these community settings with healthy food and stepping away. You know, I've never done hallucinogenics myself, but I've had insane experiences from breath practices and from in meditations. And, you know, I think I'm just one of those people that doesn't require the substances for whatever reason. And I have no judgment over if someone chooses to use that, because we're all going to the same place, right? We're all finding our way to that place where we can look at the people around us and experience just unity. And I think what you're doing by creating space where people can eat healthy, so their bodies are more clear, their minds are more clear. You know, they're spending time with people who are like-minded, and that's expanding and growing from that epicenter, essentially. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I just figured out when I started eating organic over 10 years ago, geez, maybe it was longer than that. I'm like, damn, this stuff's expensive, you know? And so I'm like, well, I better figure out how to make a living getting healthy.
Huh.
So that was the click in my mind. So I'm like, well, how can I do that? So I started hustling organic produce. That's how I started the CSA. That's like a hybrid version of your typical CSA, where I called it community sustainable agriculture instead of community supported agriculture. And it's a week-to-week subscription. You get your box of organic produce, and a couple of dollars would go back towards a school playground project. And I started that years ago, and with my partner, who I no longer would do that with, her and I, and then she branched off. We've raised tens of thousands of dollars for school gardens. And that's just one way, you know, I'm not attached to that business model. You just start your own. Every PTA and every public school should have their own CSA.
Yes, that's exactly what I had in my notes here. I was wondering if you could bring that into the schools and teaching the kids. I mean, a lot of these schools have so much land. It would be great for the kids to grow a garden. Well, and here in Canada, I guess you could do it, you know, do something indoors, but or have, you know, maybe have some glass greenhouses or something. But it would be great for the kids to get their hands dirty and find out where the food comes from.
I did a show for, again, New Age Vantage. I did a show on community and guerrilla gardening, and you know, how that's really growing. And in fact, there's a woman that I'm hoping to interview when I'm in LA, who does a lot of that, you know, seed bombs and things like that. Just throw them on the boulevards and get them out there. So Scott, we're winding down. I want you to tell everyone your contact information and what they can do to be a part of the event in Topanga on the 21st.
Well, it's Locavore, LOCAVOIRE.org. And we need volunteers. We need more body workers always. So they can just go to the locavore.org website, and they can see everything that we're doing. I also have isnessproductions.org. And that's sort of a web blog that I do. And so there's hours of HD video of me interviewing different farms and different events. And so you can go for days on isnessproductions.org. And track me down, call me, and come on out to our events. And we're going to start moving it around. We're plans to go to Hawaii and back to Asheville. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, like I said, I'm going to be in California. I'm in San Diego until the 20th, and I'm going to put my name right up there right now to come as a volunteer on the 21st if you need me.
I do. It'd be so great to have you. Yay! And what's your sister's name there?
What's that?
What's your friend's name? Who you're with?
This is Shane.
Right on. Aloha.
Unfortunately, Elaine won't be with me, but maybe. Maybe she will be with me.
Yeah. California is really exciting right now. I used to make fun of LA being from the Bay Area, but I love it here now.
I know. Chances are I'm going to be moving there. You'll be my neighbor soon, Scott.
Right arm. Farm out.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I think we've packed lots of info into the time that we had. This is available now on archives within 24 hours, so you can spread the word and let people listen in on this. And head on down to locavore.org to check out how to buy tickets to the event on the 21st. That's just like a week and a half, 2 weeks away.
And
now.
you also, Scott, can you give the spelling to the isness blog there?
ISNESS, like isness, like being, like consciously living in the now. Productions.org. I want to give big ups to Nativa. They are one of our sponsors. They give us hemp seeds and coconut oil, and we love John Rulak and what he's doing for this earth.
That's awesome. I love their coconut oil.
Yeah.
Do you also have a Facebook page, Scott?
Yes, Scott Franklin Manning. There is a Locavore. I'm so retarded when it comes to that kind of stuff. I still type with 2 fingers, so and I love it that way. But I do. I have a Facebook presence. There are links on the website, and track me down. It's bigger. I would love to employ tons of people to do what they love to do, and we can just start grassroots style.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone listening in. Thank you to Cy Kernan, who wrote and sang our theme music.
And Jen Arden.
And Mark in our studio, Larry, the producer. I can't wait to get there and be in studio for the next few weeks. And we'll fill everyone in on what's coming up. Thanks again, Scott. See you on the 21st.
See you on the 21st.
Namaste. Thanks.
Namaste.
Have a great day.
Aloha.
Only the good in you. Hope you do too. Feel only the good in you. Share the same view. Love all the good in you. Enough to get us through. Speak to the good in you. No fear can pull us apart. A beacon through the dark. Just another star is all you are. For goodness sake,